Hi everyone, my name is Julia Kelsey and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and also welcome to my first official budgeting video on this channel. I did do a little bit of an intro video last week, but this will be my first official budgeting video diving into my numbers. If you didn't get a chance to see that intro video, a quick rundown of myself is I am 25 years old. I live in Orlando, Florida. And recently I have started a budgeting personal finance coaching business, mostly based on Instagram, but have just now started branching out onto YouTube as well. So that is where this video comes in. This is going to be my first budget with me, and we are going to be budgeting for the month of January. So I'm going to walk you through my spreadsheet, go through my explanation of why I'm doing things the way I am, and just give you a rundown of what my January is going to look like budgeting wise. I will be walking you through my numbers using my monthly budgeting template. If you like this template and want to check it out for yourself, I do sell them by themselves on my website. So that would include the budgeting template, the spending tracker, a sinking fund tracker, a goal tracker. There's a bunch of different templates included in that. And I will be doing separate videos on each of them to give you more details about what's included in all of them. But I do sell those on my website, and all of my templates are also included in all of my coaching packages as well if you want to check any of those out. I'll leave the link to my website in the description. So now let's get into budgeting for January. So this is a full overlook of my budget, and we will go through each of the sections and kind of talk about each one. So at the top, we have my income section. So this is any of the money that I expect to have coming in. I include it over here. If I thought I was having any extra, I would include that as well, but for right now, it is just my paychecks. So that is what is included in this top income section, any income and cash flow. And then we get to the expenses section. So I kind of have this section broken down into two different categories. So we have the top section, which is the fixed expenses, or for the most part, fixed expenses. These are the things that you know happen month to month, and for the most part, you know how much they are. So things like that you can set a date to, and you know this amount is coming out for this particular purpose on this day. So that's the top section. And then we have the bottom section, which is more of the daily spending categories, the things that are variable, that could change month to month, week to week, that it takes a little bit more guessing to budget for those. So those are my two sections in my expenses. So real quick, let's run through my fixed expenses. There's nothing too special going on here. These are mostly fixed month to month, and they don't change that often. So the first one is going to be my rent. I do live in a one-bedroom apartment in downtown Orlando, so a little bit on the pricier side, but also not bad for the location and for the amenities that I do have. So that is rent, and then the next one is my car payment, standard month to month. Next we have internet, so just Wi-Fi for my apartment. This just includes Wi-Fi. I don't have like any phone service or anything like that. And then next I do have my monthly gym membership. I just have a basic membership at a Crunch gym here in Orlando. I don't have too much going into that area of fitness because I do also have an Orange Theory membership. I have it's not the basic one, but it's the one up from that where you get 8 classes a month. And I find that I really enjoy those classes, and because I do pay a larger amount for them, I'm less likely to be lazy and skip them. So I don't mind paying a little bit more for the quality of the classes and the motivation that they give me to actually go to them. So that's the next one for Orange Theory Fitness. And then next is a couple business subscriptions. So we have my website subscription in here, and then also my Canva subscription. So just a couple of things that I pay month to month for business. Next is my Amazon Music subscription, just a month-to-month subscription for music. Next is my Hulu subscription. So this is basically my cable. I don't have any other cable or any other streaming service. This is my main one, and I do pay for the live TV version. So that is why that's a little bit more expensive, but it does replace any cable payment that I would have. Next is iTunes. So this is just like Apple storage on my phone to get the next up storage for like all my photos and stuff like that. And then these last two are a tiny bit more variable than the other ones. They're not as fixed, but they do fall around the same amount month to month. So I do include them in this top section, and they also happen every month. I know to expect those bills, so that is why they're in the top section. The first one is my utilities and phone. So this includes my utilities bill for like water, trash, and my electric bill for AC. So that's all included in here. Then also my phone bill. So I'm still on my dad's like family phone plan, but I do pay him $50 a month for my portion of that. So all of that is included in here. And then the last one is insurance. So this is mainly my car insurance payment, and then $12.50 of this is my renter's insurance. So those are all of my fixed expenses, and now we'll get into more of the variable expenses. So I only have 4 categories. I like to keep this as simple as possible, just to keep tracking day to day as simple as possible. And just so there's not as many moving parts. The more moving parts you have, the more overwhelming it becomes to keep track of everything. So I like to keep it simple. I just have 4 main categories. The first category is eating out. I do live by myself and I'm not the biggest fan of cooking, so I do opt to eat out quite frequently, some might think. So I do usually budget $50 a week for this. So in January, with a month of 4 weeks, that would be $200 in total for the month. Next is auto. This right now is mainly just gas. This used to also include like tolls when I would drive to work, but I'm still working from home, so tolls are not as big of a factor. So this is mainly just gas. So $50 a month for that. Next is groceries. Like I said, not the biggest fan of cooking, so I do subscribe to HelloFresh. I don't get a box every single week if I'm not the biggest fan of the meals they have that week, or if I just have other dinner options, but I do get at least 2 boxes a month, if not 3. So that includes HelloFresh here, and then I do go to the store every other week for Diet Coke and other essentials, breakfast foods, stuff like that. So that is what is included in the grocery budget. And then next I have another category, or if you want to call this a miscellaneous category, this would be basically everything else. Anything that doesn't fall in the top 3 categories would be lumped into this section. Obviously, if it fell into a sinking fund, that would be different. But for daily spending wise, this would encompass everything else. So if I do any small Target runs, when I get my nails done, this falls into that category. Anything like that would be considered miscellaneous and go into that category. So I normally do $100 per month for that. And then this last line item here in this section is my line item for cushion. So this is going to be a little bit of extra money that you keep in your checking account as a cushion, as a buffer for if you spend a little more than expected, bills come out higher than expected, anything of that nature. This would just be an extra buffer physically sitting in your checking account. At the moment right now in January, I'm not planning to put anything extra here, but sometimes if I do have a couple dollars after this whole actual section is filled out, if I do have a couple dollars remaining, I will stick it in this checking account cushion line item. So the next section is my sinking fund section. If you're not familiar, sinking funds are a short-term savings method or savings account that you create to set aside money each month for a larger purchase down the line. So I'll go through a couple of examples of my sinking funds, but they could be used for many different instances where you know a bigger purchase is coming, and it would be difficult to budget for it in just 1 month, so you split it up over multiple months. So let's go through what I budgeted for my sinking funds this month. And I will be doing a separate video going through all of my sinking fund categories and how I determined my monthly allocations for them in a separate video. But I'll just give you an overview of what I'm doing for January. So the first category I have is clothes/beauty. So this is going to be any clothing purchase, any hair care, skincare, any purchase like that that I want to make would fall under this category. So for January, I'm just putting $15 towards this, so not too much. This was actually what I had left over after all of these other categories I'll go through. The other ones were a little bit more predefined, and then I just put the extra in this category. And then next I have my fun category. So this is somewhat similar to a miscellaneous category. A lot of things could fall under this category, but I like to use it as like an entertainment, going out type of category, going to the movies, anything of that nature. So I'm actually not putting anything towards that in January, but that is a category that I do frequently put something towards. Next is holiday/gifts. So this is mainly my Christmas sinking fund for Christmas presents, but however, I do take from this fund to purchase like birthday gifts as well. So I do normally save $700 for Christmas. So that is my goal for 2022 as well. So that would be around $60 a month. And then if I have a month where I purchase a birthday present or some other type of gift, then I'll make sure to replenish that in the following month. So just $60 for January. Next, I have a household category. So this is mainly what I use for like decor or like candles, anything like that for household things. Normally this doesn't include like toilet paper, laundry detergent, stuff like that. Normally I would include that stuff in my grocery budget unless I'm making one large dedicated purchase. So mainly decor items would be this category, and similar to fun, I'm not putting anything in this category in January. Next is Nico's sinking fund. So this is anything that I purchased for Nico, including his vet bills, his food, his prescriptions, anything like that falls under his sinking fund. And I do normally put a large amount of my sinking fund allocation to this category just to make sure I have enough for all of his expenses. So for January, that will be $85. Next, I have a car maintenance fund. This is for any potential unexpected expenses for my car, flat tire, even like an oil change or battery dying, anything like that would fall under this category. I do have a fairly new car. I got it in 2020, May of 2020 actually, and I have a good buffer in this account, so I haven't been actively putting more money into this, obviously, unless I need to spend any of it. So for right now, I'm okay with this category since my car is fairly new and hopefully won't need too much maintenance in the very near future. But eventually I will bump that up as my car gets a little bit older. Next is medical. So this is mainly just any prescriptions that I need or any like co-pays if I were to go to the doctor or urgent care. It's mainly what this category is for. So I recently just used this category to purchase contacts, so I'm working to replenish it a little bit. So $25 is going towards that. The next category I have is a tech category, and this kind of encompasses a lot of different things. In the past, I've used this as kind of like a safety net in the case that my phone were to break and I would need to replace it. But recently I used this category to purchase the camera that I'm filming on right now. So I'm putting $50 towards this in January to kind of replenish that after making that purchase. And then the next two are yearly subscriptions. So opposed to the monthly subscriptions that I had in the fixed expenses section, these renew every year. But instead of being surprised by that expense once a year and having difficulty fitting it into my monthly budget, I just put a little bit aside each month so that by the time that expense comes around, I've already have enough saved. So there's two of those. So one is Amazon Prime. I just put $10 aside for that each month. And then the other is my Crunch, my gym membership's yearly renewal. So I just do $5 a month for that. So those are all of my sinking fund categories. This is a pretty average month, putting $250 in total towards sinking funds. And then I'll show you at the end of the month when we do a January budget recap how this all played out. So this is me putting $250 towards the sinking funds, but I could potentially spend more or less than that, and that would affect the ending balance of my sinking funds. So we'll go through all of that at the end of the month. And the next section is actually my savings section. So this is going to be any savings goals that I have for the month. And I'm actually going to skip this section for just a second because this is where we're going to put all leftover money at the end. So let's skip down to the debt section. So currently my main focus for debt payoff are my student loans. I do have a pretty hefty student loan that I'm focusing on. And then in addition to that, I do also have my car loan, which I'm not focusing on right now. I'm just making monthly payments on that. So main focus for debt is my student loans, and I do have a pretty hefty minimum payment in the hopes to pay that off as soon as possible. So my minimum payment for my student loans is $911.45. So I just have that minimum payment here in that debt section. And then when I go back to the savings section, you'll see how I work in extra payments. So this last section is my overview section. So this kind of breaks down how much I'm spending on expenses, sinking funds, and then it shows me if I have anything left over. So I am doing a zero-based budget, meaning every dollar that I have coming in will be given a purpose, will be allocated to something. So my income minus all of my expenses should equal 0. And so this section will tell me how much I've spent and if I have anything left over that I still need to allocate. So this top line shows my total spending, and I do have this goal for myself to try to spend under 75% of my income. I'm a little bit above that at the moment, but this just shows me at a quick glance how close I am to that number, and it's a good frame of reference to keep that goal in the back of my mind. So this shows me what 75% of my income would be, and then taking into account that, it shows me how much I would have left over for sinking funds. So here it's telling me that if I wanted to stay under 75%, then I would need to allocate only $169-ish to sinking funds. And as we saw earlier, I allocated $250. So that's going to be where I'm a little bit over that 75%, but it's a good point of reference to keep in mind. And then lastly, like I was mentioning, this is a place that tells me if I have anything left over that I still need to allocate. So as we can see here, I have basically $97 that I still need to allocate. And like I said, we were going to revisit this savings section. This is where I'm going to put anything extra that I have remaining at the end of the month. So we can put that $96.99 here. And we can see that my extra went back down to 0. So I know that I have allocated every dollar that I have coming in. So let me talk a little bit more about this savings section right here. So my main priority right now is paying off my student loans, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. So this savings goal goes along with this. So this is building up my student loan fund, and then this student loan fund is where I'm going to be taking from to make those extra student loan payments. So at the moment, I'm putting every extra dollar I have into this category. And for the month of January, that will be $96.99. So that is my budget for January and how I plan to allocate all of my income for the month. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, make sure you subscribe and stick around. And if you have any video ideas or anything that you would like me to cover, make sure you leave it in the comments. I would love to see what you guys are looking for and how I can help you best. And with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week in the next video.